Update on the new apartment. I'm moving into the place tomorrow, so by the time this video goes out, I'll already be moved in. What's up guys, hope you're having a great day today. So recently, not only did we celebrate 1 year with the Honda Clarity, but we also just celebrated 50,000 miles with the Honda Clarity. So I figured I'd give you guys an insight into both 1 year ownership and 50,000 mile ownership, even though we didn't really drive all 50,000 miles in today's video. So let's get started. And there you guys can see, I don't know how easy it is to see, but that is indeed 50,259 miles. Crossed over 50,000, admittedly drove a little bit more, but anyways. And there's a school bus stopped here, yay, and I can't pass it for obvious legal reasons. But I guess that reminds me that school season is back, and school season's back for me next week as well. Oh my goodness. This acceleration, bringing in sport mode, this is for the school bus. Okay, all right then, that's, wow. I forgot this thing is peppy. Like, seriously, holy crap. It has definitely been a little bit since I drove the Clarity, like, even some form of crazily. Like, obviously, because of the speeding incident, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I have been staying fairly conservative when I do drive this car, and I drive this car rarely nowadays. I don't know if that sounded right. Very rarely. There we go. Yeah. Now, for some context, admittedly, I was a bit lazy when I filmed this video. We got the car in early July of 2023. It's now August of 2024. And so I've been a little bit lazy when it comes to filming, and like I kind of took an extra month, but we'll move on past that. I'll be honest, at first I didn't kind of realize that we hit 1 year with the Clarity. And then after that, I kind of didn't realize that I did realize that I didn't have the Clarity with me because I was living in Charlotte at that time. But now I'm back here, I'm back with the Clarity. I've been driving it a little bit the past few days, kind of an even split between that and the Z3. I really like driving that car, obviously. I mean, it's my daily driver when I don't have the Clarity. But obviously they have different purposes. The Z3 is more sport built. It's more meant for just a raw driving experience. Versus the Clarity, you got all the luxuries you could ever want. You got adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, Apple CarPlay, these plush leather seats, which let me tell you, they feel so nice to sit in. I've said that on a few previous videos, and I'm gonna say it again. These seats feel so nice to sit in. But they both serve different purposes, and I've learned that over the past year. This one has definitely been more for a plush driving experience. Yeah, it has a sport mode where you can send it quite a bit, but at the same time, it's like, it takes out so much range, and it just doesn't make sense to do. Like, it's so just, I guess, it's so not worth it, if that makes sense. Like, it takes out so much, and yeah, the torque is nice, but just like with the EVs, you know, you get all the pushback on the torque, and then after that, it's like, now what, you know? And I have to admit, as a car enthusiast, it's still fun to have like that torque just to quickly go. We had a Prius before this car, which was unfortunately wrecked, and I have to say, I did not like that car. It was just boring. Like, there was no fun in it. It was just boring, flat out. So at least with this car, it has like that little bit of an edge on the Prius. And I know a lot of people are gonna argue nowadays like, oh, but the new Priuses are so nice, they're so cool, they have all the stuff that you're talking about in the Clarity. And it's like, yeah, but the new Prius is also in the 40s. This car right now was $22,000. Yes, it was a used car, but at the end of the day, this car has been out since 2018. The Prius didn't have an excuse for being what it was in 2018. I will say, admittedly, I haven't been in the new Prius. I haven't driven it. I've seen it on the road, but like, I haven't really spent much like extensive time with it. Versus this car, obviously, I've had a year to spend time with it, do everything with that. And I have to say, the Clarity, it's been fairly cheap to own. Like, it does not come anywhere close to the 40,000 of a Prius. And I mean, even a used Prius, like, it still would match it fairly close when it comes to that aspect. Now, that being said, that doesn't include the cost of speeding tickets. I kinda, sorta, not really accidentally, but kinda, sorta did 29 over the speed limit in this car. It's ironic. We have a BMW Z3, a two-door sports convertible that's loud, aggressive, raw driving, all of that stuff. And then a Honda, a modern Honda. And the one that I got the ticket in, the modern Honda. But I guess that's one of the pros of the Clarity is like, it has a lot more power, but it still feels like a Civic. Obviously, I've spent time in Civics. I got family members with Civics. I've driven Civics, all that stuff. But with this car, it's like, it feels like that Civic. Like, it feels like the driving experience of a Civic, but it has the power. Like, I mean, because this car pushes about 220 horsepower, so it's got a lot more power than a Civic. It's got a lot more power than my Z3 even. To say the Clarity's had a clean record over the past year, I couldn't really say that confidently, if I'm being honest. Now, yes, the car has driven perfectly, always a great driving experience, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't come with its fair set of breakages or like lights come on the dash, that type of thing. So we've had 2 service codes come in, which different from check engine lights, which are signs of something has gone wrong. Service lights are just, oh yeah, you know, just, hey, you have to do this maintenance soon, all that jazz, which fair enough. So we've had 2 service lights come on in the past year. One is for oil, which it just needed an oil change. And the other one is for the air filter, if I remember correctly. I believe it was the air filter, yeah, like the one that's just in the glove box, chilling, all that. Compared to my BMW Z3, it's like, there's, you know, check engine light for this, check engine light for that. This has actually gone wrong. Hey, you have a transmission problem. All of this stuff, especially in the first year, it just all comes coming right at you. It's terrifying. It's insane. And it was just crazy. The bill was insane. Versus this, it's like, you know, you just have some random guy in a garage, a buddy of yours, do the oil. And then the air filter was nothing. Like, literally just take the air filter out, maybe put a new one in if it really needs it. But if it doesn't, just a good old whack of the leaf blower and it does the job. Does that sound concerning to say? A little bit. Does it work? Surprisingly, yes. But I'm on the highway now and I'm driving the Clarity around, and I have to say, in a year, it's been fairly fine to drive on the highway. It just does its thing. The adaptive cruise control does its thing, and it just follows the car in front of it, set the distance, all that jazz. Now, it's not a Tesla with the full self-driving stuff, so it's not going to recognize lights and stuff, but it does have adaptive cruise control where it just looks at the car in front of it, sees what its speed is going, and if it needs to slow down, it'll do that. It also has the lane keep assist where it'll keep you in your own lane. So on a highway, it does feel like it does drive itself for a good chunk of the time. Obviously, stop and go traffic's a different story, but when everyone's just cruising, or if you're like just going to work and all that, then it does the job. It does everything you need it to do, which you can't ask for more than even just adaptive cruise and lane keep in those situations. Now, admittedly, is the adaptive cruise control the most fuel efficient thing? Not really, no. It likes to go high up in the, I don't even know if you'd call this RPMs. It goes high up in the tachometer. I mean, that's what I can say about that. But even then, like, the cost of fuel in this car is very low. So on the pure electric, it costs about 4 cents a mile. That's it. Versus in like my Z3, it's probably about 13 cents a mile. So an almost triple increase, if not a triple increase, which is just crazy to believe. So with this car, it's a plug-in hybrid, so it uses both pure EV and gas power as well. So with that, it does have the ability to just drive on pure electric, nothing else. So you can just plug it into your wall, call it a day, which is good for situations where you just gotta drive, you know, to work and back. But in the situation of a road trip, because of the plug-in hybrid, you have to use the gasoline engine. That's because the electric portion only has about 50 miles of range. And so you can probably only go about 50 miles. So if you're road tripping like 20 miles, then you're fine, I guess. Now, the problem with road trips that we've experienced in the several hundred miles of road trips that we've done in this car is that this car has a very small gas fuel tank. So it's only about 7 gallons of gas that you can put into this car. And the issue with that is, well, it's an apparent issue, is that even if it's getting like 50 miles a gallon, which we're really not getting, we're probably getting like maybe 45-ish on a good day, if I'm being honest with you. But even if we were to get 50 miles a gallon on like a really good day, that's 50 miles a gallon using both the gas and electric. So that's hybrid power, because I mean, hybrids use both gas and electric to get 50 miles a gallon, all that jazz. Priuses have a similar thing. But even in that circumstance where we get 50 miles a gallon on a good day, 350 miles, it's still fairly, and that's a speed bump. Wow. I know 350 miles is still fairly good, but when you compare it to other hybrids like Priuses, I think they do 500 miles. I've seen some that are approaching the 600 mile range. I know even some EVs are advertising that, oh, we're getting like a couple hundred, like almost close to like 600, 700 miles of range. And it's like, I mean, firstly, I don't know how much I believe that. But secondly, it just pawns this car basically. And if you're wondering what I mean by like it pawns this car, essentially, like, you guys know how, like, if you ever play chess, how you can essentially turn a pawn into a queen and all that stuff. Well, this car kind of did the opposite. It has such a great feature of just, you know, being able to drive in the city with pure electric, but also being able to do the road trips and stuff. But it has the, well, I guess, I mean, it's been reduced to a pawn because at the same time, you know, you get 350 miles of range versus your competitors are doing like 500 miles of range and things like that. Now, we picked up this car for right around $22,000, and in today's world, a year later, admittedly, you can now get a Tesla Model 3 for that money. A similar year, if not maybe even newer Tesla Model 3 for $22,000. Now, if I could go back, would I want to have a Model 3 or this car? I don't know. If I'm being honest, I don't know. The Model 3, it's a good car. It does have some reliability problems. Like, I'm looking at one right in front of me. The wheel looks like it's shaking off for some reason. I don't know if it's like the hubcap, but it's not a straight wheel. It's like slanted. I don't know how to explain it, but something looks off about it. I do have to admit, though, on the other side of that, the Model 3 is a fairly decent car. I mean, I have a lot of friends who've driven Model 3s. I know some with Model 3s, and they're fairly reliable. They're good daily drivers. They do everything you need to. They're not weekend cars, don't get me wrong, but they're daily drivers, and that's, I mean, in my opinion, what this is. Like, I mean, it's an electric or hybrid daily driver versus the Model 3 is an electric daily driver. Now, I have to say, I do like both cars. I like the Model 3, I like the Clarity, and I don't really know, like, road trip wise, the Clarity is great. Because, I mean, you can still, you know, just pump some gas into it and then just call it a day. Versus the Tesla, you have to map out superchargers, you have to worry about the superchargers. And yeah, the car does that for you when you're planning a road trip, but then you have to use the map specific thing. And for me, frankly, I only trust Google Maps and Waze, so yeah. Along with that, it does feel like the car kind of just watches over you a bit too much, versus this car, it's like, it does its thing. Yeah, it has the sensors, it has the cameras and all that, but you don't see it reporting back to the motherland or the mothership, if you will, as much as like Tesla would. But on the other hand, I mean, like, the autopilot's a lot more developed, the interiors are a lot nicer, in my opinion. I mean, if I spilled a soda in this car, then it's like, oh, you have to take it to a detailer, get that all cleaned up, and just worry so much about it. I mean, there's even a stain on the seat already. Versus the Tesla, it's like, you know, you can spill a bottle of wine in that thing, grab a paper towel, and it'll all come off. It doesn't really apply to me because I don't really have kids or anybody that's likely to spill it. I mean, myself, I'm kind of stupid when it comes to that stuff, but I keep a lid on stuff, you know, to keep it from spilling. As I say this more and more out loud, I'm leaning a little bit towards Clarity because of the road trip stuff, but the Model 3 is still a great car, don't get me wrong. I'll be honest, I can't give an honest answer. They both are great cars, and they both fulfill different purposes. It more depends on what your purposes are and what you need it for. If you do a lot of city driving and mainly city driving, then I would say the Tesla's a good option. But with road trips, as much as I have dunked on the Clarity for road trips, it still has like that backup option of, you know, just gas. And in that aspect, the Clarity is a good idea. But obviously there's more than just the Tesla and the Clarity out there, so you definitely gotta do your research on that. Okay, so it's a bit of a tight squeeze. Even after a year, it's still a bit hard to get out, but we get out. And on that note though, today's video is in fact over. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Let me know how you feel about this video in the comments below. And if you like what you're seeing, leave a subscribe. And just like that, I'm out. I'm gonna go probably keep editing and get ready for moving day tomorrow. Peace.